This is episode 3 of Black Breast Matters. Today's topic, touch the black breast. Today I'm very excited to interview a young sister who has been in the trenches for years doing work around breast cancer in black women. Rickie Fairley is a triple-negative breast cancer survivor herself and has made it her mission to improve the outcomes for women of color through education, legislation, and research. She and her partner, Valerie Worthy, are the founders of a new organization called TOUCH, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance.
Hey, how are you, my link sister?
Oh, I am well. Thank you so very much for being here. Listen, I want to give our guests just a little bit of your background. So you are a stage 3 triple negative breast cancer survivor. Is that correct?
Stage 3A. Mm-hmm.
Stage 3A, and I'm sure you're going to tell us a little bit about that. But you've been doing this work for a very long time, and you are an award-winning, seasoned market veteran in this work. So we're really excited to have you on. I know that you recently co-founded TOUCH, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, and we want to hear a lot about that. And you also co-host the Doctor is In, a weekly live web series on the blackdoctor.org Facebook page. So so you're doing a lot of great work around breast cancer as it relates to black women. And, you know, this is our first time doing this series, but we wanted to kind of be really strategic about how we approach breast cancer awareness in October this year under the links. We do have this podcast open to any woman, so we'll be addressing everybody today. So I'm excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
So excited to be here.
Yes, this is going to be good. Well, we'll go ahead and get started with our questions. You know, we named this show's episode Touch the Black Breast as a message to our audience, but also as a nod to your new organization.
I love that. That's going to be a new hashtag for us, Touch the Black Breast. I love that.
Yeah, because, you know, it's so very important. We know that. So,
Yes.
You know, we did it to honor our survivors and our fighters who are on the journey right now. And I know you've been inspired to do this work because of your own experience. Can you share a bit of your personal journey with our guests?
Sure. And it's funny, you know, people always say journey when they talk about breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that word. I'm sorry, because it's not really a journey. A journey is like a trip. It's fun. You know, it's like, you know, but everybody uses the word, even a lot of survivors, but it's definitely an experience. And, you know, it's a club that you don't want to be in, but once you're in it, we have this unconditional love for, you know, our breasty community. But so I was diagnosed in 2011, and I was your typical black woman, like we all are in the links, you know, you're taking care of everybody, super cape on, doing everything. I was the breadwinner for my family, the rainmaker for my company, and, you know, flying all over the place, taking care of the kids. You know the drill. We all do it, right?
Right.
Every day. And I got stopped in my tracks. You know, my doctor actually called me as I was getting on a plane in Boston to go to San Francisco for 3 weeks on a business trip and said, my doctor actually found it on my annual checkup. I should start there. And my annual checkup, I had actually put off for a month because my baby daughter was away in China for the summer. And I normally go pretty regularly to get my mammograms. And so I put it off for a month and said, okay, I'll just go when Haley's home because I really just don't have time.
Right.
And thank God that I did, because had I gone when I normally would have gone, my cancer probably wouldn't have shown up yet. It was so aggressive. And I'd be dead. So that was God working on me to be, you know, God kind of has taken me through this whole path. So I went for my annual checkup. She found a lump. And then I got on a plane because I had to go. You know, I mean, I had a biopsy. I had to go. And so my doctor calls me as I'm boarding a plane. She says, you have breast cancer. And I said, okay, well, I'm gone for 3 weeks. I'll call you when I get back. And I'm like, all right. And then I got on a plane from Boston to San Francisco thinking, I really don't have time for this. Like, what's the deal? Like, I got to go to work, whatever. So I get off the plane. I'm there for 3 days. My doctor calls again and says, okay, Rickie, not only do you have breast cancer, but you have triple negative breast cancer. So you need to come home.
Ah.
And I said, triple negative? That doesn't sound so bad. Like, well, how bad is that? And then I started to Google it. And back then, there were probably about 4 or 5 things on Google. That was it, about triple negative. Mm-hmm. And they all basically said, you're going to die. Highest mortality rate, worst prognosis, no drugs for it, no treatments that work. And I said, okay, I better get my act together. So I got on a plane and I went home back to Atlanta and went into this whirlwind of breast cancer treatment. And, my doctor basically said, it's pretty serious. So I had a double mastectomy by choice. I did 6 rounds of chemo. I did 6 weeks of radiation. Mm-hmm. And then a year to the date of my diagnosis, they found 5 spots on my chest wall.
Wow. And
my doctor said, okay, you're metastatic. You probably got about 2 years. You need to get your affairs in order. And, we'll try some more chemo, but, triple negative, we probably won't have luck with it, but we'll try it and we'll see what happens.
And that triple negative is one that affects Black women a lot, right?
At twice the rate. We get it at twice the rate. And I'm not a doctor, so you could probably do a better job explaining it than me, Dr. Persharon. But it's basically, there are 3 kind of subtypes of breast cancer, and it's really kind of how your body receives the treatment.
Right.
One is based on estrogen, one is based on progesterone, and one is based on an enzyme called HER2. Mm-hmm. If you test negative for those 3 things, it's called triple negative. Mm-hmm. And it's the only breast cancer subtype that doesn't have a drug to prevent recurrence. So you may have heard of tamoxifen or Herceptin or something that you take for 5 years, right? We don't have a drug. There is no drug for that. And really, there's really no specific treatment for triple negative other than the kind of standard of care for other breast cancers. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
So obviously you are a survivor because 2 years went by. How long ago?
I'm on 9. I'm a miracle. So after the more chemo, I had surgery. The cancer disappeared. God intervened and left me here to do this work. We don't really know what happened. My doctor calls me her miracle. So here I am, and I know that God gave me the purpose to help women through this experience. So that's what I do. I fight like a girl every day to try to help somebody else or, kind of get through this craziness.
So after many years of volunteer work and serving on boards and working with other nonprofit breast support agencies, you're finally here with your own baby.
I am with my own baby, and I'll tell you why I did it. And, in the thick of COVID, right? Well, first of all, COVID happened and put health disparities on the table. Mm-hmm. But I really did it because Black women are dying of breast cancer at a 42% higher rate than white women. Black women under the age of 35, and you're supposed to get a mammogram at 40, right? Well, when we're under 35, we get breast cancer at twice the rate and die at 3 times the rate.
Wow.
The recurrence rate for Black women is 39%. So if you've had breast cancer, you have a 39% chance of it coming back. The 5-year survival rate for Black women with breast cancer is 21% die before 5 years. For white women, that number is 8%. So we have a different disease. Black breast cancer is a different disease for Black women. We don't, white women aren't dying of this disease, but we are. So why is that happening?
Right.
There are a lot of psychosocial reasons, like the social determinants of health and access to care and lack of health insurance and the whole, we're taking care of everybody, not taking care of ourselves. But I believe, and I have a lot of support for this, that there are some physiological differences in Black women's bodies that we don't understand yet. And we haven't done the right science for us. If you think about it, really across most disease states, the drugs that we have available are made on white people, tested on white people. This whole COVID discussion, are the drugs going to work if Black people don't participate in the trials? Right. And we don't. And so we don't, the drugs don't work on our body the same way. And we don't have enough research to even figure it out. And so, though, in the breast cancer space, we have more advocacy groups than any other disease state. So there's a lot of people in the space have been working hard for years, but we haven't solved the problem yet. And so I got into this group and started my own foundation because I want to tackle the science. I want to bring the science to the table. I want to address the mortality rate. And, everyone who's done working in this space can go home at night and pat themselves on the back and say, yes, I did a good job today. Yes, I took somebody to chemo. Yes, I gave a hug. Yes, I came up with a drug. But we're still dying. We're still dying.
So touch is focused in on the science of it all.
On the science, yeah. On the science. And I mean, we're basically trying to give a hug to everything. So really imagine that I have a big house. And in my house, I have many rooms. And so if you need to come to my house, you knock on the door and you say, I need a hug. I need a support group. I need research. I need data. I need information. I need a doctor. That's what we're trying to provide. Okay. And I don't want to be, we can't be all things to all people. But we really want to be a portal for information and a portal for love. We speak in love. But also, I am really going to pharma saying, give us the science, give us the drugs. I want a drug that with a little brown bottle where the label says, this drug is made for Black women.
How about that? Wouldn't that be something?
And if you think about it too, Persharon, 20 years ago, the AIDS community went after pharma with a vengeance. They came together as a group, many different advocacy groups, different patients, whatever, and they said, "We're dying. We don't know why. Give us a drug." And now, guess what? Magic Johnson is still alive.
That's right.
AIDS, they're drugs that make AIDS undetectable. So why can't we do the same thing for Black breast cancer? And I also believe that a lot of the advocacy groups are working in silos. We have Komen, we have breast cancer, we have whatever. To me, unless we work together, arm in arm, we're not gonna solve the problem. So I've created this alliance where I want to be in the sandbox with other breast cancer organizations and other organizations that we can kind of work together towards a common goal. Because I can't solve for it. Not one pharma company can solve for it. Not 10 advocacy groups can solve for it. But I think if we join forces and work together, we can make some headway towards this goal. But we have to get the science right, and we have to make Black women comfortable participating in research.
Absolutely. I think you're really onto something there. And it's so important for us to see this work in so many ways. So I'm really intrigued by your live web series, The Doctor's In. What can we expect from this series?
So we started this series, really, my co-host is Dr. Monique Gary. She's a phenomenal breast surgical oncologist. She lives in Philly, and she's just a brainiac. But we were talking one day at the beginning of COVID about, all of our breasty friends were calling us, oh, should I go to chemo? Is it safe? Should I get my mammogram? What should I do? And we said, we should really talk about this because, yes, you should go to chemo, and yes, you should get your mammograms. You've got to, we've already predicted that 10,000 people are going to die because they didn't get a mammogram during COVID.
Wow. Wow.
But anyway, those numbers are going to keep going up. But anyway, so we said, let's talk about it. Let's just do a Zoom and talk about it. So we went on Zoom together and we talked about it, and we had about 800 people viewing us. And we're like, wow, maybe there's something here. So we reached out to blackdoctor.org, who I've known, I'm a marketing person, so I've bought media on their site. And we said, what do you think? And they said, we love this. Put it on our platform. So now we have the show. It's on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. For the month of October, we're also on 3 p.m. on Sundays, Eastern time. So we're doing 2 shows a week, and we have like 30,000 viewers. Isn't that crazy?
That is awesome.
And we don't really know why. I mean, because it's really kind of just a girl talk thing. Like, it's like you're talking to us in our kitchen, at our kitchen table. And thank God Monique brings the science. She's a brainiac. And I bring the breasties. And we talk about everything breast cancer, from sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But we try to touch on every topic. And it's funny, every time we think we're out of topics, we have another topic. So like this week we talked about male breast cancer. We had Matthew Knowles on the show.
Yes.
And you can go back and watch them. They're really all on, if you go to the Facebook page for blackdoctor.org and click on live, you can see our videos there, and it's called The Doctor Is In. On Sunday, we're doing a series called Pink Table Talk.
Yes.
And we actually have a family coming on, and we're going to do 10 of these over the next year or so. We're talking to a family about what's her story. Because, Black people, we don't talk about health. until something happens to somebody. When somebody dies, and it's like, oh, yeah, Grandma Pookie had that, Aunt Edith had that. And, it comes out, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about anything about health.
Well,
so we're trying to put it on the table.
Right. And that's kind of where we're trying to get to with this podcast, to really get to the information that's going to help us to be our best selves. We all get a lot of, I'm calling it kind of the run-of-the-mill education. You should get a mammogram because, 1 in 8 women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. But what does that really mean in our community? I was listening very closely when you said, when you got this information, you were, on the run. You were actually the breadwinner in your home. And if the breadwinner gets sick, then, that is so impactful on our families. So I know that, women sometimes get afraid or just don't know what they should do.
We don't want to talk about it because everybody depends on us.
Right.
So we don't want to tell anybody about it, that we're sick. And frankly, we could help ourselves if we knew that we had the gene, which only, that's only 15% of our population. But we don't talk about our family histories. We don't know what's gone on before us that could help us deal with what we have now, which is crazy that we don't talk about it. But we have to really put on the table.
So I was talking with a Link sister the other day and just telling her about how excited I was about this particular episode of the podcast. And she did give me a question. She said, hey, I do have a question because I have a dense breast and I was told that I needed to get an MRI every year. And I was literally in the center about to get my MRI, and my mom called and asked me, are you sure you want to get that? You're going to be getting all this dye in your body, and I didn't get it. But should I have? What should I have done about that?
Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, so, Black women are definitely prone to have dense breasts. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know whether you have dense breasts or not, you need to go ask a doctor. But really and frankly, if you have dense breasts, you're 4 to 6 times more likely to get breast cancer. So it's really important to know whether your breasts are dense and get checked the right way. So what's normally given at that point, and again, I'm not a doctor, is a 3D mammogram. Mm-hmm. And you should really everybody should demand a 3D mammogram. And if your insurance won't cover it, if you go to a facility that only does 3D mammograms, and a lot of them do now, your insurance will have to cover it. So demand a 3D mammogram. And the way my doc describes it is a regular mammogram, they kind of look and see the cover of a book. If you get a 3D mammogram, then they see the pages of the book. They can flip through the pages and see the dimensions inside. So it's really just more thorough. And usually after that, you get an MRI. So I don't usually hear that you get an MRI without having had the mammogram first. That's usually the protocol. But if you've been directed to get an MRI, you need to get an MRI.
Well, I think that's the kind of great information we can get from your organization and certainly from your live web series. Yeah, that is really important.
Yeah. So we need to know that. But, so if that Link Sisters doctor has said, get an MRI, then do it. And they really are, trust me, whatever radiation you're going to get in an MRI, or even a mammogram, is way less harmful than getting breast cancer. Right. So think about it that way. Whatever dyes and put in you, whatever, trust me, it's way less harmful than breast cancer.
And the important piece of information from that, though, was your risk because of dense breasts. That makes a whole big difference in how you weigh what you do. So, wow, this has been really, really informative. Our Southern Links all across these 7 states in the South, we have been engaged in this work through our signature initiative called Links in Pink. We've challenged our chapters to provide, breast education and to partner with local mammography facilities to provide mammograms for low-income women. And then we've also asked them to galvanize around breast health legislation. What else do you think we need to do to make eradication of breast cancer a reality for Black women?
All right. Well, first of all, I became a link in the southern area, Magnolia.
Yes.
Magnolia in Atlanta. And that's where I was sick. And my Magnolia sisters, I actually talked on their Zoom last weekend at their meeting, talked about breast cancer. I hadn't seen them for such a long time. And they were so helpful to me when I was sick. Our link sister bond is so awesome. But we as Black women just need to check our breasts. You need to check your breasts. I say, everybody, check the breasts that you love. I know you have a pair. Get on a regimen. If you do it every month, if you forget, if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I will remind you on the 20th of every month, because that was the day of my mastectomy. On Twitter, I'm at Rickie Dove, RICKIDOVE, or at Touch BBCA. Okay. And we'll post every month and remind you, and know her story. Talk to your family. Talk to your daughters. I believe young women, as soon as they start going to the gynae to get birth control pills, they should be checking their breasts.
Right.
Because our young women are just dying, and the numbers are horrible. And you know what happens a lot, Persharon? They go to the doctor, present with a lump at age 25 or whatever, and they say, you know what? You're too young. Don't worry about it. It's a cyst. Come back in 6 months and we'll check you over again. 6 months later, they're metastatic.
Wow.
So we can't, we need to be just taking breast health seriously, like you brush your teeth.
Right.
Like you get your gynae checkup, check your breast every month, because you have to know you're normal. And I tell young women, know you're normal. And clearly, over the years, your body's going to change a little bit. You may gain a little whatever, but know you're normal. Stand in front of the mirror, look at your breast and look at your body, and know what it looks like, what it feels like, so that if something abnormal happens, you'll know it. You'll know before anyone does. And you'll be able to go to the doctor and advocate for yourself and say, you know what, this little thing wasn't here last month, or this feels different, or this looks different, and know that. So think about your breast health like you think about your going to the dentist, like you think about your hygiene. It's something that we all have to think about and talk about, and it's okay to talk about it at the kitchen table, at the dinner table. Don't be afraid. Ask your mom and your grandma and your aunties, and find out what's going on with your family. Because everybody has a breast cancer story, unfortunately. So try to figure that out in your family, and get gene tested if you have a history, especially if someone in your family had breast cancer before the age of 50.
Yes, so very important. Well, Rickie, it has been a pleasure to have you as my guest on Black Breasts Matter.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, your story is inspirational. And your commitment to this work, well, I'm hoping it's infectious, that our Link sisters across this country and other women, period, will take what you've told us today to heart. Is there anything else you would like to say to our audience before we close?
Can I say one more thing? So
Sure.
When I got sick, I quit my life and started a new one. And I'll tell you a quick story. So my first meeting with my nurse navigator, she said, "You are so stressed out, Rickie. You need to get the stress out of your life." And I said, "I am not stressed out. I don't believe in stress. Stress is for wimps. What am I going to do? Not feed the kid, not go to work?" But I had to learn that I was enabling the dependencies on me, as we all do as Black women. I got it. I'll take care of you. Give it to me. I'll do it. I got you. That's all we do. We take care of everybody. And I had to learn that I had to take care of myself, put the mask on myself first, and that my peace is non-negotiable. And so is yours.
I hope you heard that, ladies. Our peace is non-negotiable. Well, that ends our podcast for today, and prayerfully, your refreshing walk. I hope you learned something of value to help enhance your breast health plan, because our breasts deserve our best, and our lives may very well depend on it. Have a great week, my sisters.